you, Jim?
Why not? Hello, friends. How you doing there, Rich?
I'm thrilled to have you here, Jim. This time of year, what does it mean to you, Jim?
You know, this is to me all year long. I kind of count down on the calendar to when I get to this, as you call it, the sweet spot, the back-to-back, journey of going from the thrilling excitement of the Final Four, which shapes up to be the best in years possibly, and then, of course, Augusta right behind it. So I'm a kid in a candy store right now.
So how good is Duke? You know, in a way, you know, a lot of people are scratching their heads over this team a little bit, Jim, because it advanced as a 1 seed into this tournament without winning the ACC regular or postseason tournament. So the question is how good is this Duke team coming in that you saw this weekend?
Well, I mean, I think they've proven their worth, and you know, I know a lot of people had an issue with what they did in their conference, but look what they did out of conference, and they took on Wisconsin, they took on Michigan State, they won, you know, big games out of conference, and they proved their worth. They're very, very good, and you know, I think you know, a lot of people think it's automatic. It's going to be Kentucky, Duke. I'm certainly not inclined to think anything's going to be automatic at this point. I think all 4 programs are capable of winning the 2 games in Indianapolis. But I think right now, the talk about Duke, how good is it? What does it deserve? I think that's been quelled by their play this last weekend.
Jim Nantz joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. And so Izzo, after taking on Pitino, now takes on Krzyzewski. Where do you place Tom Izzo in the pantheon of college basketball coaching, Jim?
Well, hey, listen, look at all the coaches we have coming to Indianapolis. To me, that's what makes this one so special. The 4 coaches combined 26 Final Fours, 2 of whom are already in the are already in the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. The other 2 are up this year as finalists, and we'll find out next Monday, a week from today, if Cal or both get in. Regardless, if they don't this year, they will at some point. So, you know, it's a matchup of Hall of Fame coaches and decorated programs. I mean, it's really sweet.
Who's the best player left, do you think? Who's the best guy out there on the court suiting up?
I think right now, you know, I'm going to talk purely college. I hate when people try to project because, frankly, how they play here and what it means to these programs is all that's paramount. What their futures are with the NBA, I wish them all well, but that has absolutely nothing to do with what's taking place in Indianapolis. So, you know, take a guy like Travis Trice, okay? No one's going to talk about him because too many people are tainted talking about these silly lottery picks and all this jargon. Worry about that on another day. Mm-hmm. But Travis Trice has lifted this Michigan State program from a 7 seed into the Final Four. He's playing as well as anybody. Then you got a guy like Ricky Winslow, who did not have his best day yesterday, but he certainly was a difference maker in the end. I say Ricky Winslow. I always get Ricky, and it's Justice Winslow. Right. His dad, Ricky, took a Houston team to the Final Four. But Justice Winslow has been awesome in this tournament. And, you know, Karl Anthony Towns from Kentucky, if I had to identify one player on that team. Sam Decker, you know, coming up with the huge game in the regional final to go along with Kaminsky's monster performance. I mean, there's so many guys that are playing at a peak level. It's awesome.
Yeah, I know, and sometimes that's where I'd like to put the focus because these coaches, as you point out, they're so decorated, and they're the ones with the big money contracts, and these are the guys who usually get a lot of the headlines, and these are the kids are. That's the neat thing about this tournament, Jim. That I was even wondering myself, doing the NFL only thing in the last few decade until this show where I'm talking all sports. That I don't pay that much attention to college basketball much anymore. And certainly with Chris Mullen potentially mulling a St. John's offer, hearkening back to the days when kids used to play 4 years or even sometimes 5 years. Then I'm wondering, how does a tournament survive when you don't know these young men as very well coming in? And it just does. I'm locked in. I'm transfixed by the action, Jim. And I'm just wondering why that is in a way.
Well, this year the tournament's it's having a tremendous year in terms of audience reaction. That is ratings, and I think the storyline of Kentucky being undefeated has lifted the entire tournament to this new level. I also think that the college game has been hurt, frankly, by people in the media doing the lazy thing and talking about college basketball in terms of what does it mean as far as an NBA draft.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Packer and I used to do this together for 18 years. We never talked about the NBA because this is college. And we have no axe to grind with the NBA. And we wish all these guys the chance to chase their dream. But when they're playing in college, this actually means something to the university that they're in the Final Four. It actually means something to their alumni that they have a chance to win the championship. And I think this year the story has gotten away from they're playing for some draft position. It's gotten away from that now. Instead, it's talked about, can anybody beat Kentucky? It's exciting that the focus is back on this, what they're actually playing for, the college basketball championship, not a draft position that only affects a few. And it's been refreshing. It's the way it used to be a long time ago. And, we'll get through this week, and next Monday night we'll crown a champion. And then we can start talking about who's going early, who's going to be the first pick in the draft and all that stuff. But right now, we're concerned with winning a college basketball championship. Everybody around the game wants to see who's the best, and the fans have picked up on that. That storyline about attaching this as just nothing but a training for the NBA, that story doesn't really resonate with the fan. They lose interest. Mm-hmm. It minimizes, and to me, it bastardizes the college game.
Jim Nantz joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So after you call the championship game with Grant Hill and Bill Raftery and Tracy Wolfson on CBS, then you hop a flight down to Georgia. Do you think when you arrive there, we'll know about Tiger Woods playing in the Masters, or will he just show up? What do you think's going on with Tiger?
We really don't know. Just look back at last year's PGA Championship, and that story just kind of played itself out right up to the last minute, and then he showed up the day before, and there's a lot of drama around all of this. Here we are the week before the Masters, and it saddens me, honestly. I hope he's there. It to see his game having deteriorated to the level that it has, and again, a lot of that has to do with his physical abilities or lack of abilities because of a bad back. But it is overriding the sport right now. He has not won this Masters tournament in 10 years, since 2005, beating Chris DeMarco in a playoff. He has not won a major championship in 7 years. The questions we ought to be talking about right now going into Augusta should start and finish with one guy, Rory McIlroy. He's won the last 2 majors. He won 4 majors over a 3-year span. He's number 1 in the world, and he's going for this, the holy grail of the sport. He's going for the career Grand Slam. But I got to tell you, I've been doing some interviews today, and it's, I love you, so I'm not knocking your question.
No, I hear you.
And people want to know. But whether Tiger plays or not next week, the odds of him winning this tournament, given he hasn't competed in a couple of months, and he's physically got issues with his back, and his game has shown some serious issues, the odds of him winning are extremely long. So it's not a story that's probably got any legs until April the 12th, the final round of the Masters. The Rory McIlroy story, however, that is legit. He is legit. He is the ruler of the sport right now, and I think he deserves our respect and his due. And
what about a young gun? What about somebody that we're not even seeing on the radar to have the chance to hit Butler Cabin with you on the 12th?
The thing is, Jordan Spieth, when you say a young gun, that's the first guy that comes to mind, but he's on everybody's radar. He was runner-up yesterday at San Antonio. He won just a couple of weeks ago in Tampa. The kid's tremendously talented, and last year he played in the final pairing. Was step for step right there with Bubba Watson before Bubba won it for the second time in 3 years. There's another guy, by the way, that should be a center of discussion.
Sure.
Having won this tournament 2 of the last 3 years. But the game is so wide open right now. After you get past Rory, I think it's exciting. I think it's we're entering a new era for the sport, and that's just a part of the process. The game's transition from Hogan and Nelson and Snead to a guy named Palmer to a guy named Nicklaus to a guy named Watson to a guy named Faldo and a guy named Norman to a guy named Tiger, who took it to places that were unimaginable, and he held on to it for a long, long time. And there's going to be that next era, and I think it's already started. We just, for whatever reason, don't want to let go and say that this is Rory McIlroy's time. He's won 4 here since the summer of 2011, and it's pretty amazing what he's done. I mean, his record tracks at his age marks right there with Tiger and with what Jack Nicklaus was doing when he was at this point in his career. It's good stuff. And if he wins next, a couple of weeks from now at Augusta, perhaps then he'll finally be the story at one of these things. He should be already. Jim,
I really appreciate the time. Thanks very much. I look forward to spending the next couple of weeks with you.
It's always great to talk to you, my friend. And let's talk here when the schedule is released for the NFL here in a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll do that. You got it, Jim. Right, thanks so much. That's Jim Nantz going to call a national championship game.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.